Hello everyone. So, I'm on a bit of a time crunch today, but I'm going to switch it over so you can see the data mining project. So you might notice by the title of this stream, I'm actually running a earlier version of the data mining project. That running is the pure genetic version. So this is the version that was originally created after some modification, but it was the first official version because because it was actually successful in recreating the test equation. So since then, as you've seen in previous streams, I have attempted to improve this version in many ways, but none of these improvements have officially been successful. So many of these have shown improvement in the early stages where they are finding something to get a foothold, but most of them have been getting stuck into this endless loop. And so I wanted to jump back to the version that was successful and rerun it to make sure that the first running wasn't a fluke. And so you'll see, and I believe it will be coming up soon with the it's already up. So you will see that the current generation is 140. Now this is almost it's about 180%. I mean, I'm not doing the math in my head right now, but it's a significant jump higher than the previous runnings amount of generations necessary for success. And if you look at the score, those scores, although they are low compared to the normal sort of fuzz scores, they are still technically fuzz scores because of the magnitude they are on. So I'm going to read you the current equations that are the best. So you'll see that it's been stuck for 4 generations right now. The current equations that are the best are both the same thing. They are variable 2 times variable 4 plus 1, plus variable 1, not the number 1. Sorry about that. They are both that, which has 3 variables that are being used in the actual equation. But if you know how this works, then by the order of operations, the plus 1 is not actually being multiplied by the 4, which is a problem because the 4 being multiplied into the things is the most significant part. So this AI did actually get the 2 times 4 pretty quickly. I'm going to look back and see when it actually first showed that. I believe that was on generation 19. So that's very quick. And so these generations have take a little bit of time, as you can see by the numbers ticking by. There's 100 different children each generation. So you can kind of do the math on how long a generation takes if you time a couple of those children in how long they take to get through, and set that as the average speed, and then calculate it out for an entire generation. You can also add on a little bit of time for the calculations between generations. So I've done that in the past, and I've given you some numbers. Right now, I don't have any numbers for you, but so like I said, this AI, this running of the data mining project achieved something where it had a foothold. It had a piece of the equation in 19 generations, which is very good. But as we scroll down, and I know you can't see this, but I'm going to explain it, the equations just sort of mimicked the one success it had. So the second would grab hold of the 2 times 4 variable or equation and put it into the second place. There was actually an addition or a elongation of the equation in generation 27 to variable 2 times variable 4 minus variable 1, which is very similar to the current best problem. It's actually almost exactly the same, although the fact that variable 1 is actually added as opposed to subtracted. But in terms of structure, it's about the same, which says something about what the current generation is doing. Not very much. So as I scroll down, I'm looking, and once it got that equation with 2 times 4 minus 1, it just sort of held on to it. It added a couple things here and there, but then it threw it out. So here on generation 87, it added variable 5, which is completely irrelevant to the end of that, and put it into the second place. And then in generation 104, it actually added the deep variable cosine of variable 5, which again is irrelevant. There's also no cosines involved. So all of these equations are scoring what I was calling a fuzz score, which means that these scores could be achieved simply by a random equation, not anything necessarily adding up to what we need it to. So here we are at, I believe the generation is higher than this right now, but the most recent change is in generation 144, which is to have both equations being this variable 2 times variable 4 plus variable 1. So what this is saying is essentially the first time the program may have gotten lucky. I do want to call this off in a little bit. I'm going to let it run a little bit longer just to see if maybe it gets lucky, so I can get a number for the amount of generations it took to get to that answer. And then I want to continually rerun this just to see if I can get an answer. But I've also been tossing around in my head something, because in this situation, there's not many variables to work with. So what I'm thinking is that maybe the actual deep learning may play a role, but the genetic AI may not be the best idea in this particular case, because it is a very slow process. It is effective over a long period of time, but for the applications of data mining, or at least for what I'm hoping this will have applications for, perhaps in the environment project, in analyzing the environment and making intuitive decisions, the AI would need to be running these data mining processes many times, not once every 8 hours. It needs to be okay. So maybe if it's an hour to figure out what an environment is, that's not that bad. But obviously, the less time it takes to successfully create an equation, even if it's not the best equation, even if it's only successful 80% of the time, 80% of the time is a better survival rate. And combined with other intuitive decisions, maybe that 80% can be improved to a 90% or a 95%. So this is something that I'm hoping to look into. I'm thinking that instead of the randomness of the genetic AI, I may want to add back in an intuitive factor, but maybe not in the evolutionary sense, whereas the changes are random and the AI intuitively decides if it is an improvement. This is something I did with the ball drop project, with the hive mind project, and with the environment project, but it was a little bit more difficult to immediately implement into this project, simply because of the fractal structure of the DNA. If you do not know what I'm talking about, go check out the stream I did a couple weeks ago on that. It should stand out. It says fractal DNA in the title in this playlist, I believe. So I'm thinking that it might be a improvement to switch to a style where the AI maybe tests some variables for their importance, and then it can whittle down which variables are more important to perhaps get a better guess when it goes into the actual genetic process, or to just throw out the genetic process altogether and to make guesses upon the platform it's creating. So I don't know how realistic that might be, but it is something I'm tossing around in my head, and it's actually something I've been thinking about back since I was working on the environment project, because this was something that would have helped in the creation of the AI toolbox. The AI toolbox would be able to locate the variable that is significant, as in the variable that is controlling the output that is beneficial or is malicious, and be able to either amplify or or lower the effect, respectively. So that's pretty much what I've been thinking about. Other than that, I'm thinking a little bit about possibly getting some guest speakers on, maybe over Skype chat or something like that. It'll take me a little bit to actually get that all figured out to be set up on the stream. But other than that, if there's any questions in the chat, I'm very open to answering them. But I do want to keep this relatively short. I am on a time crunch, so I'll keep it going for a couple more minutes, unless I don't see any comments, in which I'll just sign off here in a second. But I do plan on streaming again on Saturday. The timing may vary depending on when the UCF football game is and whether or not it's on TV. If it is on TV and it clashes with the normal time for streaming, I may adjust the time. But Saturdays are usually pretty open for people, so they should be able to come out if they want to. And worst case scenario, people just watch this later. I have been actually posting a lot of these videos to Reddit because I know that there is a large demographic, or I can find a demographic that is actually interested in the content that I'm providing, as opposed to kind of just shoving this down the throats of my family and friends. The AI, oh my god, actually just upgraded on generation 150, so you'll see the score has dipped below the factor of 10 that it was originally working on. I'm going to read this off. So we have x variable 2 times x variable 4 plus x variable 1, so that's what we had, but it has actually added on this term, which is the quantity x variable 4 times x variable 1. So barring the x variable 1 that's just floating in the middle, this is actually a very good score. So I'm glad that I'm continually running this. Generation 150 is a little bit later, as I said, than the previous running, but if it is still successful, then there's something to be learned here. Then perhaps I haven't been running my other versions as long as necessary. But the purpose of the improvements to the other versions is actually to make the AI converge on the answer faster. So if the AI is just converging on the answer as quick, that's not necessarily an improvement in my eyes. But I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so I'm going to be signing off here. But if you do have any questions and you're watching this not live, feel free to post them in the comments. I did actually have a big comment from a person I do not know, but I will be looking into that. They were suggesting something for me to look into, maybe not to talk about. I think that the topic might have been a little over my realm of expertise, but perhaps I can find somebody else to talk about it for us. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I do plan on streaming on Saturday, so keep your eyes peeled on the Facebook page, and I will be posting the times that I will be streaming onto there. Also, if you have any interest in helping me spread the word, then share the videos on any source that you want. I'm just trying to get a community here that will sort of help me to stay on track to solid scientific knowledge and rigorous accepted thoughts, unless I'm sharing my opinions, and then they will be my opinions no matter what you think. So I will be signing off here, but I will see you on Saturday.